A rumour is a tall tale of explanations of events circulating from person to person and pertaining to an object, event, or issue in public concern. However, a review of the research on rumour conducted by Pendleton in 1998 found that research across sociology, psychology, and communication studies had widely varying definitions of rumour. In the social sciences, a rumour involves some kind of a statement whose veracity is not quickly or ever confirmed. In addition, some scholars have identified rumour as a subset of propaganda. Rumours are also often discussed with regard to misinformation and disinformation. Rumours thus have often been viewed as particular forms of other communication concepts. Early work, French and German social science research on rumour locates the modern scholarly definition of it to the pioneering work of the German William Stern in 1902. Stern experimented on rumour involving a chain of subjects, who passed a story from mouth to ear without the right to repeat or explain it. He found that the story was shortened and changed by the time it reached the end of the chain. His student was another pioneer in the field, Gordon Allport. The experiment is similar to the children's game Chinese Whispers. 1944 study, A Psychology of Rumour was published by Robert Knapp in 1944, in which he reports on his analysis of over 1,000 rumours during World War II that were printed in the Boston Herald's Rumour Clinic column. He defines rumour as a proposition for belief of topical reference disseminated without official verification. So formidably defined, rumour is but a special case of informal social communications, including myth, legend, and current humour. From myth and legend it is distinguished by its emphasis on the topical. Where humour is designed to provoke laughter, rumour begs for belief. Knapp identified three basic characteristics that apply to rumour. 1. They're transmitted by word of mouth. 2. They provide information about a person, happening, or condition. And 3. They express and gratify the emotional needs of the community. Crucial to this definition and its characteristics is the emphasis on transmission, on content, and on reception. Based on his study of the newspaper column, Knapp divided those rumors into three types. Pipe dream rumors, reflect public desires and wished for outcomes. For example, Japan's oil reserves were low and thus World War II would soon end. Bogey or fear rumors reflect feared outcomes. For example, an enemy surprise attack is imminent. Wedge driving rumors intend to undermine group loyalty or interpersonal relations. Knapp also found that negative rumors were more likely to be disseminated than positive rumors. These types also differentiate between positive and negative rumors. 1947 study. In the 1947 study, Psychology of Rumor, Gordon Allport and Joseph Postman concluded that, as rumor travels it grows shorter, more concise, more easily grasped and told. This conclusion was based on a test of message diffusion between persons, which found that about 70% of details in a message were lost in the first 5 to 6 mouth-to-mouth transmissions. In the experiment, a test subject was shown an illustration and given time to look it over. They were then asked to describe the scene from memory to a second test subject. This second test subject was then asked to describe the scene to a third, and so forth and so on. Each persona unregistered trademark S reproduction was recorded. This process was repeated with different illustrations with very different settings and contents. Allport and Postman used three terms to describe the movement of rumor. They are, leveling, sharpening, and assimilation. Leveling refers to the loss of detail during the transmission process. Sharpening to the selection of certain details of which to transmit. And assimilation to a distortion in the transmission of information as a result of subconscious motivations. Assimilation was observed when test subjects described the illustrations as they ought to be but not as they actually were. For example, in an illustration depicting a battle scene, test subjects often incorrectly reported an ambulance truck in the background of the illustration as carrying a medical supplies, when, in fact, it was clearly carrying boxes marked OETNT. Social cognition. In 2004, Prashant Bhatia and Nicholas D'Fonso published their problem-solving and social interactions on the Internet, rumour as social cognition, and found that rumour transmission is probably reflective of a collective explanation process. This conclusion was based on an analysis of archived message board discussions in which the statements were coded and analyzed. It was found that 29.4% of statements within these discussions could be coded as a Euro-OE sense-making Euro statements, which involved a Euro-A attempts at solving a problem a Euro. It was noted that the rest of the discussion was constructed around these statements, further reinforcing the idea of collective problem-solving. The researchers also found that each rumour went through a four-stage pattern of development in which a rumour was introduced for discussion, information was volunteered and discussed, and finally a resolution was drawn or interest was lost. For the study, archived discussions concerning rumours on the Internet and other computer networks such as BitNet were retrieved. As a rule, each discussion had a minimum of 5 statements posted over a period of at least 2 days. The statements were then coded as being one of the following: prudent, apprehensive, authenticating, interrogatory, providing information, belief, disbelief, sense-making, digressive, or uncodable. Each rumour discussion was then analyzed based on this coding system. A similar coding system based on statistical analysis was applied to each discussion as a whole, and the aforementioned 4-stage pattern of rumour discussion emerged. Political communication strategy. In the past, much research on rumour came from psychological approaches. The focus was especially on how statements of questionable veracity circulated orally from person to person. Scholarly attention to political rumours is at least as old as Aristotle's rhetoric. However, not until recently has any sustained attention and conceptual development been directed at political uses of rumour, outside of its role in war situations. Almost no work had been done until recently on how different forms of media and particular cultural historical conditions may facilitate a rumour's diffusion. The Internet's recent appearance as a new media technology has shown ever new possibilities for the fast diffusion of rumour, as the debunking sites such as Snopes.com, UrbanLegion.com, and FactCheck.org demonstrate. Nor had previous research taken into consideration the particular form or style of deliberately chosen rumours for political purposes in particular circumstances. In the early part of the 21st century, some legal scholars have attended to political uses of rumour, though their conceptualization of it remains social psychological and their solutions to it as public problem are from a legal scholarly perspective, largely having to do with libel and privacy laws and the damage to personal reputations. Working within political communication studies, in 2006, Jason Harzin introduced the concept of the rumour bomb as a response to the widespread empirical phenomenon of rumour-esque communication in contemporary relations between media and politics, especially within the complex convergence of multiple forms of media, from cell phones and Internet, to radio, TV, and print. Harzin starts with a widespread definition of rumour as a claim whose truthfulness is in doubt and which often has no clear source even if its ideological or partisan origins and intents are clear. He then treats it as a particular rhetorical strategy in current contexts of media and politics in many societies. For Harzin, a rumour bomb extends the definition of rumour into a political communication concept with the following features: a crisis of verification. A crisis of verification is perhaps the most salient and politically dangerous aspect of rumour. Berenson defines rumour as a kind of persuasive message involving a proposition that lacks secure standards of evidence. A context of public uncertainty or anxiety about a political group, figure, or cause, which the rumour bomb overcomes or transfers onto an opponent. A clearly partisan, even if an anonymous source, which seeks to profit politically from the rumour bomb. Unregistered trademark diffusion. A rapid diffusion via highly developed electronically mediated societies where news travels fast. In addition, Harzin locates the rumour bomb within other communication genres, such as disinformation and propaganda, as rumour has been viewed by others. However, he distinguishes it from these concepts as well, since disinformation is often too associated with government, and propaganda is a widely varying concept used to describe attempts to control opinion without regard for ethics and accuracy of statement. Similarly, spin is a generic term for strategic political communication that attempts to frame or reframe an event or a statement in a way that is politically profitable for one side and detrimental to another, though at its core it may simply be a red herring. In addition, a smear campaign is a term that loosely means a coordinated effort to attack a person's character. Unlike a smear campaign, rumour bombs need not be about discrediting a person. A spine also specifically refers to an event and its reframing. Rumour bombs may seek to produce events themselves. A rumour bomb can be seen as having some characteristics of these general concepts, but rumour bombs happen in very particular cultural and historical conditions. They are not about mouth-to-ear interpersonal rumours as much rumour research has been interested in. They begin in a rapport between deliberate disinformers and media, whether TV news, talk shows, newspapers, radio, or websites. They then circulate across these media, perhaps but not necessarily resulting in interpersonal mouth-to-ear rumour diffusion. Harzin distinguishes the rumour bomb from other more general concepts of rumour by emphasizing changes in politics, media technology, and culture. According to Harzin, rumour in politics has always existed, but recent changes have created an environment ripe for a new kind of political rumour, a new media convergence culture, where information produced on the Internet can influence the production of media content in other forms. New media technologies and business values that emphasize speed and circulation that combine with entertainment values in news, political marketing, and public craving of tabloid news that mirrors other entertainment genres. Rumors of affairs, of weapons of mass destruction, and their alleged removal to other countries. John Kerry is French, Obama is a Muslim, John McCain had an illegitimate black child. Obama's healthcare plan would legalize death panels. Shirley Sherrod is a racist. All of these involve statements whose veracity is in question or that are simply false. Other statements may have an ambiguous nature that makes them potentially appealing to different audiences who may interpret them in particular ways and circulate them. Harzin builds on rumour research that has emphasized social cognition and diffusion of propaganda. He extends Prashant and DeFoncio's work in particular, since they attempt to distinguish rumour from gossip, in that rumour is supposedly about public issues and gossip is about private, trivial things. The emergence of infotainment and tabloidization in especially American and British news has broken that distinction, since politics is now just as much about bringing the private into the public view, as was clear with the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal. Strategic communication, similar to their appearance and function in political communication, wherein rumors can be deployed for specific deleterious effect or can otherwise plague a candidate for office, rumors also play an important role in strategic communication. Strategic communication is the process of crafting messages in support of specific organizational goals, and is usually concerned with governments, militaries and non-governmental organizations. Adroit strategic communication requires an understanding of stories, trends and memes circulating within a culture. Rumors can be viewed as stories that seem rational but that are steeped into speculation, in connection with a certain narrative landscape. In their book, Narrative Landmines, Rumors, Islamist Extremism and the Struggle for Strategic Influence, co-authors Daniel Bernardi, Pauline Hope-Keown, Chris Lundry and Scott W. Ruston coin the term narrative IED to help explain the function and danger of rumors in a strategic communication context. Rumors, as narrative IEDs, are low-cost, low-tech communication weapons that can be used by anyone to disrupt the efforts of communication, civil affairs or outreach campaigns such as those undertaken by governments in crisis response situations or militaries and insurgencies. As Bernardi notes, like their explosive cousins, rumors can be created and planted by nearly anybody, require limited resources to utilize, can be deadly for those in its direct path, and can instill fear. See also, Apple Community, Snopes.com, website for checking the truth of rumors, theme, a project addressing the detection and spread of rumors over social media. References. External links. Spread of false information causes dangers.